All right, dog lovers, buckle up. Today we're ditching the dog park regulars and diving into a world of canine oddities.
Oddities is right. We're talking about breeds so rare most people haven't even heard of them.
We're talking about unique canines, 10 rare dog breeds you've never heard of. From Woofwag Nation, really digging into what makes these pups so extraordinary.
It's more than just a list, that's for sure. We're talking history, skills, and even the challenges of having one as a pet.
Exactly. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start with the basics. What makes a breed rare in the first place?
Well, you've got your small populations, often geographically isolated, maybe tucked away in a remote corner of the world.
Makes sense. Like, cut off from other dogs, their lineage stays pretty unique.
Exactly. Or think about breeds historically bred for one very specific job within a community. Their rarity often reflects a specialized past.
Oh, like that Norwegian Lundahunt, right. The article mentioned them, the ones with the extra toes.
You remember correctly. Imagine, like, rugged cliffs overlooking the Norwegian Sea and a dog bred to scale those cliffs to hunt puffins. Those 6 toes weren't just for show. They gave them insane grip.
Wow. So they're like canine mountain goats. That's incredible. But wouldn't a super specific role like that, like puffin hunting on a cliff, make them even more vulnerable to becoming rare?
You're spot on. Any change to their traditional way of life environment, cultural shifts, even disease could really impact their numbers.
Yeah, the article mentioned those distemper outbreaks makes you realize how important those dedicated breeders are for keeping these lineages alive. But it's not just about looks, is it? What about temperament? How does that factor into a breed being rare?
Great point. Temperament's huge. Take the Azawak, a stunning breed from West Africa, all sleek lines and regal bearing.
Oh yeah, the article called them like the supermodels of the dog world. I loved that. But they weren't bred for just good looks, were they?
Definitely not. Think nomadic tribes, hunting gazelles across vast distances, needing a dog that was fast, watchful, and fiercely protective. That's the Azawak, intensely loyal to their family, but reserved, even aloof, around strangers.
So traits that made them perfect for their traditional life might not exactly scream ideal house pet to everyone.
Precisely. And that connection, history, temperament, rarity, the theme we'll see again and again with these unique dogs.
All right, you've got me hooked. We've got cliff climbers, desert guardians. Who else is waiting in the wings?
Well, if you're a foodie, let me introduce you to a breed with a nose for luxury. The Lagotto Romagnolo.
Wait, the truffle hunting dogs from Italy? No way. How does a breed go from, like, fetching things in water to sniffing out expensive mushrooms? Seems like quite the career change.
Fascinating, right? The article didn't dive deep on the specifics, but it does suggest that their sense of smell, already keen for water retrieval, turned out even more valuable in the truffle world.
So instead of ducks, they're sniffing out culinary gold. Now that's a gig. Makes you wonder how many other breeds might have had these dramatic shifts in their roles over time.
I'm sure there are more stories out there.
Yeah.
And those shifting roles, that's probably part of what makes some breeds so rare today.
Speaking of history, what about the Thai Ridgeback? I remember the article mentioning they're a bit of a mystery.
A bit mysterious, definitely. Ancient breed from Thailand. You can spot them a mile off. That ridge of hair running down their backs. Hence the name, right?
Makes sense. But their history isn't just about looks, I'm guessing. The article mentions something about their primitive nature. What does that even mean for a domesticated dog?
A good question. It means they're closer to their wild ancestors in some ways. Strong instincts, independent streak, maybe not as eager to please as some breeds.
So not your typical Velcro dog, then?
Not exactly. Makes them fascinating. But they need an owner who gets that, someone who could work with those instincts.
It's a recurring theme, isn't it? These rare breeds, they often need that extra level of understanding. It's a good reminder that responsible ownership goes beyond just thinking a breed looks cool.
100%. And speaking of looking cool, have you ever heard of the Cadalbaran, the Turkish pointer?
Vaguely. It's the one with the split nose.
That's the one. The pictures don't do it justice. It's like their nose has 2 separate nostrils. Super unusual.
Definitely unusual. Any idea why they have that?
It's a bit of a mystery, but the theory is it actually makes their sense of smell even better. Like, the separation helps them detect a wider range of scents.
Wow, so they're like the scent-detecting ninjas of the dog world. From one unique nose to a whole different kind of unique, let's talk about the Peruvian Inca orchid.
Now, there's a breed that's been both adored and misunderstood throughout history. Hairless dogs, originally from Peru. Think ancient Inca culture.
Didn't the article say they used to be kept warm by people, like living hot water bottles? Kind of a weird image, right?
A bit. But despite their looks, they're supposed to be incredibly affectionate, loyal dogs. That lack of fur, though, it's an adaptation to warmer climates. But they do need a little extra care to protect their skin.
Makes sense. Okay, from one unusual breed to another, let's talk about the New Guinea singing dog. That name alone just makes me smile.
You and me both. Their howl is something else. Less of a bark, more like a yodel, almost.
Haunting, probably, but incredibly rare, right? Even in New Guinea.
Yeah, super elusive, great at surviving in really tough environments, which also makes them hard to study, let alone keep as pets.
It really hits home how much diversity there is in the dog world. And hey, even if we're not all cut out to own these rare breeds, just learning about them, it's pretty amazing.
Totally. But for those who are drawn to these unique dogs, there's that whole other side of things we need to cover. Responsible ownership. It's a whole other ballgame.
Totally. Loving a picture is one thing, but understanding the commitment, that's key. And that's where we're headed next. So we've met some incredible dogs today, from cliff-climbing puffins hunters to truffle-sniffing gourmands. But let's be real, it's one thing to admire these breeds, another entirely to actually own one.
Couldn't agree more. Owning any dog is a responsibility, but with rare breeds, there are some unique challenges to consider.
The article mentioned finding reputable breeders can be tough. With such limited numbers, it's got to be like finding a needle in a haystack.
It definitely takes more than a quick Google search. You're not just looking for a cute puppy. You need someone dedicated to the breed, their health, their unique traits.
So patience is key. But even once you've found your breeder and brought your rare pup home, that's just the beginning.
Absolutely. Their needs go way beyond the basics. Think about, say, the Azawak, a dog bred for the desert. Their exercise routine. Not going to be the same as a pampered lap dog.
And their diet too, right? Different environment, different needs.
Exactly. And we can't forget temperament, those instincts that made them perfect for their traditional roles. Well, a dog bred to herd sheep all day might not be content with a quick walk around the block.
You're basically signing up to be a student of your dog.
In a way, yeah. You're responsible for understanding their history and using that to give them the best possible life. It's a unique kind of stewardship.
And part of that stewardship means being prepared for anything, including health issues.
Right. Smaller gene pools mean incredible uniqueness, but also sometimes a higher risk of certain health conditions.
So being financially prepared for vet care is a must. It's a lot to consider, but I imagine sharing your life with one of these extraordinary dogs, that bond must be something else.
There's nothing quite like it. That bond you get with any dog, it's amplified when you're caring for a breed that's like a living link to the past.
It's like having a piece of history right there in your living room. So, to all our listeners out there, what resonated with you today? Which breeds sparked your curiosity?
Was it the loyalty of the Azawak, that ancient lineage of the Peruvian Inca orchid, or maybe the haunting howl of the New Guinea singing dog?
Each breed has its own story to tell. Maybe this deep dive inspired you to learn more, to look beyond the usual suspects at the dog park.
And who knows, you might just find yourself smitten with a breed you never even knew existed before. Isn't that the beauty of discovery?
Absolutely. Until next time, happy exploring, everyone, and keep those tails wagging.